What's going on, fellas, brothers, comrades? And I would like to discuss this issue of men stepping in and saving random women nowadays. Because this issue has actually been um, circulating in different media for the past, well, actually few years, and I think we need to discuss this. And I want to really lay out the whole framework, all the factors, okay? So my general stance is that I think man should consider this whole issue from the viewpoint of legality only, okay? Because we live in such a society that any action can have some legal repercussions. We are not living in medieval times. Every single citizen, whether it's male or female, has rights and responsibilities. Those are like legal concepts, really. According to the law, nobody is obliged, there is no such responsibility on a man's part to step in and sacrifice our lives for some random women. The government really, pretty much most of the countries, it doesn't even recognize that. You know, they kind of put this thing on some sort of morality issue framework, while in reality, it has a serious legal dimension too, right? Because if you step in for some random female that's been harassed somewhere in the public, the likelihood is that you are going to be either injured yourself, you're gonna get your ass beat, or you will beat up that guy yourself, and then you will end up in jail, right? That's very very much possible. Maybe you will get away easily with just paying some fine, or maybe paying for the person that you just beat up, paying for that guy's medical bills or something. But there's also a possibility of actually getting killed, or killing that person, and you will end up in prison, like for actually serious freaking prison time, right? These things are very much possible. They happen like in just a moment, and that precise moment, may ruin your life. Like our lives are so short, and then here you are. Here you haven't really thought it through, and you just saw a girl that is being harassed. You intervened, you beat up the guy. The guy falls down, hits his head on concrete, and that's it. And he's freaking dead. And there's so many instances like this precisely happening across the whole world, where guys end up in prison for 15 years, like 20 years, even 10 years, 5 years. That's still a lot because our lives are short, right? Most men, they don't even live up to like 70 nowadays because of the hard labor. Generally, men do a lot of hard labor. A man, on average, they live like 5 to 10 years shorter lives than women. And here you are sacrificing it. I don't think it's the correct position, that being just manipulated in such a way that you just thoughtlessly just get yourself involved, right? And then you face so many issues. Actually, there's a lot of different reasons for you not to intervene. Not just the self-preservation sort of instinct that I've just described above, but there's also some specific ones. The reason number one, in my opinion, is that if you intervene, you save a woman. Actually, even if you save a woman, well, the likelihood that she will be grateful for that is pretty tiny. It's very little. Okay. On the other hand, actually, when you intervene and help out some dude that's getting his ass beat like by 2 or 3 other dudes somewhere, and you step in, you stop the fight, or you actually step up for that guy that you don't know, that guy is going to be way more grateful for you than like 10, 20 times more grateful, okay, than a woman. The reason for that is because women, they kind of feel entitled for random man's protection. And when you are entitled, you don't even think that you should be thankful. Why would you be thankful for something that's already owed to you, right? Men, on the other hand, we don't feel like it. We already know by default that nobody owes us nothing. Okay? So when we get, when some guys, step in and actually help us out, it comes to us as a big fucking surprise, right? As a huge surprise. And that creates this, gratefulness. You have just earned yourself like a friend, maybe for the rest of your life. That happens, right? At least like a buddy, at least a guy who will feel like he owes you too. If you go to jail, the likelihood is that he will probably be visiting you because he feels like, like I can't just leave a guy like that. At least he'll be sending you some, packs of cigarettes or something. A woman, I've literally seen, I've monitored a lot of, crime news sort of channels. It happens a lot that women, a guy goes to prison for saving some woman, and then she doesn't even care about the name. She doesn't even want to know the name of the guy. And sometimes women don't even recognize that they have been saved. This is like the worst kind, right? There was one case in Russia when a guy stepped in and actually he killed the other guy. The guy that was, judging by the video, the guy was drunk and he was somewhere like in a remote area, close to like train station. He grabbed the girl. It seemed like he was going to actually rape her. Then the other guy approached and just knocked him out. That guy fell, just broke the back of his skull, and he just died. That woman, she didn't even come to the court proceedings, to the court hearings. None of that. She didn't even care. She didn't even care about the name, because actually, in that crime news, reporters, they called that woman. They found out who she was. Then they called her and they actually told her, you know what? Are you even interested, in the guy who literally saved you? And she literally said, you know what, guys, I don't know. I don't want to know. I don't want to get involved, and I just don't have time. She didn't even bother to find out the name of the guy. And we don't even know if she recognized that if she admitted that she has been saved. Okay? Zero fucks given about the guy's fate. So I think that's the most important factor that plays in this whole framework, whether you should step in. Okay? Why would you step in when you are not recognized? Especially nowadays when we keep hearing, this crap that, we don't need no man. It would be great if at least most men would die. Only the tall guys, the tall and good-looking ones, would remain. And this is not, some kind of insecurity. I'm 6'1", so I don't have that. But because you will get judged immediately. It's because you're short. You have like small duck energy and all of that. Because
I guarantee you there's no problem. I guarantee it.
Also, by the way, if you're tired of this, you should get the t-shirt that literally mocks this stupid phrase. You can find this t-shirt on my store. It's bastionofman.com. The link is in the description. Anyway, so the factor number 2, I think, is, generally speaking, I think, like, from the religious point of view, if there's anyone who's religious or at least like agnostic, maybe thinking about it, does it even make sense to step in nowadays in these sort of deranged times, right? We're not even talking about being appreciated for that by women, but also, would God approve of that if God exists? I'm not a believer, but generally speaking, if God exists, do you think God would approve of that? Let's say it's like 2 a.m. and a woman's just walking down the street, flashing her curves, right? And then you step in and say, someone tries to rape her and all that. Do you think, are you sure, are you 100% confident that God would approve of you stepping in? Because what if God actually wouldn't want that? What if God actually values your life as a believer, as a man of God, more than the life of some random stupid hoe that's flashing her curves in some dangerous neighborhood, at 2 a.m., just because strong and independent woman, just because she feels like it? Maybe she needs to get a lesson out of it, right? And maybe her own protection should be in her own hands because, well, generally feminists made the call that they are strong, independent, they don't need no man. So if they don't, reasonably don't step in because they literally said it. And every single person, every adult person needs to be fully responsible for his words, okay? That applies to women too, because if we don't apply that to women, then that means we literally put women on the level of children. Then we have to question ourselves, why do they even have the rights equal to men's rights? So every man needs to be sort of more demanding towards women in this respect. Yeah, so God will probably not approve of that. I can't say for God. I'm not a like a super expert in religion, although I studied quite a lot of it. But generally speaking, you have to. This is an idea to ponder about for you. Okay. So that's reason number 2. Then reason number 3 generally is you step in. You don't step in for a random chick, because that would be equivalent to demanding from random women to sexually please random men, just because random men feel like it, right? And just because you're a woman, you're supposed to sort of please me. I'm a man. I'm entitled to something, right? We don't go about spewing this nonsense, right? Because this is clearly nonsense. So why if they don't owe nothing? Why do you as a man owe something, right? And especially something of that high caliber, when you actually risk getting killed or getting imprisoned like for years, right? Something that's actually given your body to some random man. That's probably less risky than getting into a fight where you can actually get killed. That's maybe not 100% equivalent, but that's pretty close to it, right? Then there's another factor that plays in here, okay? That's monetary gains. We live in a liberal society, but generally speaking, it doesn't even matter if it's a liberal, socialist, it doesn't matter. In any society, man must, anyone shall be rewarded for something, right? Monetarily. And if men are supposed to be cops, every man is supposed to be sort of a policeman of duty, well, basically, that would be like partially on duty. And we are obliged to step in, like most women argue. Then why don't we get paid? You know what? If all men were getting maybe $500 every month for having this sort of off-duty policeman obligations of if you see a crime, you're supposed to step in. How about we get paid from the state budget, from the federal budget, whatever, right? Depends on what country you live in. Generally, from the governmental budget. Why don't we get paid some money? But guess what? Well, generally speaking, I think a lot of guys would actually agree, because most men, they would intervene, they would step in to save random women anyway, okay? Because most men are brainwashed. But they would, of course, agree. Most men, the absolute majority, would agree to getting paid. I would probably agree. If you pay me $500, most of the time, the chances are, even despite the fact that I'm saying all of this here, I can rationalize like that. I understand that, yeah, we should probably not step in, generally speaking. But the chances are, I also got the reflexes, evolutionary reflexes, that I might step in too, right? But if I got at least paid for it, maybe I would say, okay, maybe I would step in, because that would be like a privilege, and that would be like a privilege that creates some additional obligations in the society, right? Most men wouldn't mind. Guess who would mind? Exactly, feminists. They would immediately go out to protest against this. Men already have this. There's already this. Gender pay gap, right? Why a man getting some additional money? How I can be a policeman too. I can defend myself. We don't need no man, you know. Immediately this shit would come out. Immediately. So just considering this, you should really think even like twice as hard if you should step in. Okay? In my opinion, when the situations where you should definitely step in is when it's your wife, your girlfriend, like a woman that you know, or a relative to you, right? But at the same time, you would step in for generally a person that you know, regardless of the gender, right? You would still step in. You would help out your friend. You would maybe even sacrifice your life for your friend, right? Your buddy, your bro. You would do that. You wouldn't be standing there, well, I'm sorry, bro, but you got balls between your legs. You're on your own because, the law tells me that I cannot, step in and defend you because you're a guy. If you were a female, then that would be a completely different. You wouldn't be standing there. So this whole issue is tribal, really. You step in for people of your tribe, actually, right? I think I've laid out everything that's necessary here, and yeah, guys, subscribe or at least give a like to this video, and also visit my shop. It's called bastionofman.com. I'm developing man's clothing brand, actually. Yeah, so see you in the next videos.